game fans, and welcome to another interview at Game Anglia. Right now I'm speaking to Dan Da Rocha from Toxic Games, and he is the creator of Q.U.B.E and soon to be Q.U.B.E 2 amongst others. And so I'm going to be talking to him about his life in games, his studio life, how to get a job in the industry, and so much more. So thank you very much for taking the time to come and talk to me.
No problem.
Thanks for coming and doing a talk here at the event as well. So congratulations on you're so close to getting Q.U.B.E 2 out and released. Yep. It's been quite a journey out here from Q.U.B.E 1 to Q.U.B.E 2. Can you tell me a little bit about what's happened?
Yeah, so many things have happened in that time. So of course Q.U.B.E 1 shipped on Steam in early 2012, and since then we've done a load of things. I actually formed a second studio, released games like Hue and Watermelon, and in that time Q.U.B.E 2 was being developed, as well as Q.U.B.E Director's Cut for consoles. And you know, Q.U.B.E 2 has been in development for what, 3 years now? And we've only been in full production for about a year, and it's been an incredible journey, bringing a producer on full time and being really organised with development. And the main difference is that Q.U.B.E 1 was developed in-house, literally in a house with us living and working there, and Q.U.B.E 2 is the other extreme of remote working, so we're not actually seeing everyone every day.
Oh, okay.
So we've got to get used to that, and yeah, it's been a learning curve, but you know, we've got there in the end, and it's been very productive.
Yeah, I mean, once I remember hearing that you managed to secure funding pretty much straight out of university. I mean, what kind of lessons did you learn from that? I mean, how was it to get funded? Yeah,
it was an incredible experience. You know, it enabled us to live out our dream, because we had a 10-minute demo at uni and we never expected to turn it into a business. We had no business experience, and we were using that as a portfolio piece to get a job in the industry. And then we spoke to lecturers and other industry folks, and they said, you know, you could go indie. And we were like, what's indie? And we learned all about it and took it to a few events and pitched for some investment to Indie Fund. And within a few weeks they got back to us. They were like, yeah, this is great. Let's talk budgets and schedules. And we were over the moon when they accepted it out of 200 applicants.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so it was a big
roller coaster as well.
Exactly, yeah. And I think one of the key reasons they said is 90% of applicants were ideas on paper or trailers with watermarks on, but we had a demo that they could play, which was a big difference. And yeah, we got to work on it full time for about a year, and it was.
And so coming out of university, going straight into the game development, your own studio, what were some of the hardest lessons that you learned along the way?
Yeah, so definitely being organised and having a good schedule and everything, because a lot of the time we were making it up as we went along. And, you know, I was reading business books here and there, but there was 3 of us making the game initially, and we didn't really allocate designated roles. We were all trying to do a bit of everything, a bit of design the game, go to events, run the business, but you end up pulling in 3 different directions, and over time we naturally gravitated towards our strengths.
Yeah.
And that worked very well, but had we known that from the start, it would have been a much more fluid process.
Okay. And so there's going to be a lot of students that are going to come straight out of university, and they're going to want to start their own company as well. So what advice would you give to these indie game developers who are wanting to set up their first company?
Sure. So I think it's very important to pay attention to the business side of things, because it's very easy to just focus on game development alone and have your head down and make the game. So going out there, promoting yourself, going to conferences, especially in the UK, like Develop is a big one, going to that, showing your game on your phone or an iPad or whatever, and spreading the word. Right. I think that's integral.
Okay, in Q.U.B.E 2, I was reading that you decided to cut back a lot of the puzzles to make a sort of a different type of cube. So can you tell me about how you refined Q.U.B.E 2 over Q.U.B.E 1?
Sure. So Q.U.B.E 1, you know, there was many mechanics that almost throw away. You'd have them for 3 or 4 puzzles at best, and then that was it. You never saw them again, which was a shame. But in this game, we've kind of you know, stripped away a lot of that stuff. Even the rotational puzzles are kind of quite different to the ones in Q.U.B.E 1, and yeah, it's very distilled, and we teach that, you know, cube by cube. So you have the blue cube to begin with, you've got loads of puzzles with just that cube, and then you get the red and so forth. And the learning curve, you know, is quite smooth throughout the game. But towards the end, of course, there were some real challenges. So.
Oh, excellent. And so is that something you've learned? So we're doing Hue and stuff, to the importance of simplification and distillation of your core game idea and core mechanics? Is that something you sort of grown, like learnt over time? And
yeah, absolutely. There's no
it's simple, as it were.
That's it. Yeah, there's no need. There's no reason to go crazy, and because you can have so many ideas, but I think it's important to rein them in because the game could go in so many directions. And yeah, so we had that on Cube. Definitely Q.U.B.E was like, oh, we could do anything with this. It's, where do you go?
Okay.
Yeah, so we've learned a huge amount about puzzle design over the years. So.
And you work with your brother on Q as well. How is it working in as a family? You know, how is it working with your brother?
Yeah, so I've always been a bit apprehensive, perhaps, about working with friends or family. It's like the separation, but now I'm more open to it because I brought him on board to handle community management, admin, all that sort of thing. Because I was essentially doing that production and business development. It was just so much going on. You can't really do each one effectively. So I brought him on board, and I let our producer manage his day to day, so that brotherly sort of thing doesn't get involved. And I said to my producer, like, you tell me if he's good or not, and luckily he was good. And
it's nice to have that third party as well.
Yeah, that's it. So it works very well together, and I think our family relationship has kind of shifted in a way as well. Like it's matured, should we say?
So Q.U.B.E is penciled for a release next year, and I'm assuming it's going to come to consoles. So what kind of thought process do you go through at what stage to bring your game to consoles? Yeah,
so it's very much it's also a marketing thing. So having that sim ship, that launching those together, you can kind of tap into the marketing for each platform, and that can bolster the whole marketing effort. Because if you're working towards one platform like Steam, which is can be quite saturated, you might get lost in the noise. Then you've got like Xbox and PlayStation to support that launch, and I think that's a big deal. That's one of the reasons for that. You're going out with a bang, basically. But of course, there's much more work involved to get to that point.
Yeah, and then all the post-launch marketing and all that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So just talking about that sort of post-launch stuff. So, what happens after Q.U.B.E? Are you already working on a secret project, or are you going to take a bit of time out, or what's next for Toxic Games? Yeah,
we're sort of working that at the moment. We've got a few irons in the fire, different prototypes being knocked up. But it's as for which one we go for, we're uncertain at this point in time. I think our puzzle designer Dave, he wants to take a few months off just because he's worked on this game, for so long, and it's kind of working that out. But of course, it's a business at the end of the day. We have to work out, how that's going to work, and salaries and stuff. Yeah.
And so you mentioned that you've got both staff and you work with a lot of freelancers and remote staff. So how do you find your ideal candidates, or how do you find any candidates when working for both in-house and remote workers?
Sure. So I think word of mouth is the big one for that. Recommendations from others. So if we're looking for perhaps a 3D artist, we'll speak to some close industry friends and see who they recommend. Okay. We like scour Twitter to see who's hot at that point in time. And then look at other university candidates and so forth, and then look at their portfolios. I actually look at portfolios more than CVs these days.
Okay, so ArtStation and so.
That's right, yeah, to really see what they're capable of and kind of go down that route. Or even at events, even events like this, I've met some talented people, and it's a case of getting to know them. And passion is the other side of it, because that can almost trump the skills. I think you want both hand in hand, because. If someone isn't working well with others on the team, but they're super talented, that might not work as well as someone who's not as talented, but works well, So
if somebody's got the passion, but only a couple of games to their name, or a couple of game jam games to their name, if the passion can come through, then
exactly, and they're willing to learn. I think that's super important.
Oh, excellent. So, the last question I've been asking all the speakers, this is, so if you could go back in time and you can meet University Dan Da Rocha, he's still working on his demo, and you could go back in time, meet him, and give him words of advice. What would you tell young Dan?
Good question. I think there's so many things. I think one in particular would be just go full throttle and learn as much as possible. Put yourself out there as much as you can and build that brand. And the one thing actually would be the goals. Know where you want to be in 5-10 years. It's that sort of cliche question you get asked a lot of the time. But I think if I had known back then where I wanted to be in 10 years, and I think I'd probably be further along right now.
Because you can see the steps. I've got to get here to here to get here.
That's right. Yeah, and plan it all out as opposed to just drop kick it and hope to see where it goes. So I think that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, it's been absolutely amazing to speak to you. Thank you very much for making the video.
No worries.
Game Anglia.
Thanks for having me.
And if this video has been useful, please give it a like, thumbs up, and we'll be back with another interview very soon.